If you're exploring the Himalayas, you might be surprised to see a goat, moose, bear, cow, gazelle scuttling around the rocks. The Takin is an odd-looking beast whose elusive nature and gleaming fur possibly inspired a well-known ancient Greek myth. From its goofy nose to its smelly coat, this innovative ungulate finds unique ways to fight off the mountain chills. But staying warm and staying dry is something to be taken seriously on the cold Asian peaks here in Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal information. I am Joe.
And I am Carlos.
Thank you to Cassie for the creation of our theme song. To hear more of Cassie's music, please search Cassie Michelle on YouTube or Spotify.
And thank you to Johanna for the creation of this week's artwork. To check that out, you can visit us at our home on the web at ldtaxonomy.com. And a very special thank you to our patrons, to Jesse Raspulich, Carol Raspulich, Richard Gaspar, Lottie, Aubrey, and Gray Hughes. Thank you so much for your support. It is greatly appreciated. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on.
And today we're talking about an animal that is taking care of business. But more on that later.
Can you hear me talking? It's the talking, right?
Oh yeah, this is another example of us not having powwowed at all. We're doing the talking. I don't know what the major fact is.
Oh yeah, you don't. This is one of those ones where I found it was I was looking at a list of interesting animals and I saw it and I was like, this is an interesting animal. I will find out what the major fact is. And then now we're recording it. And I'm like, oh, find the major fact.
Yes, I've done that many times. We're like, I just want to talk about this animal. It's so cool. There must be a major fact about it.
And sometimes animals just look cool, but really, they're total dorks on the inside. Its beauty really is skin deep. But yeah, we're talking about the takin or takin. I think it is takin. It is also called the new goat. New being GNU. Did you know that a new is a wildebeest? It's the same thing. It's just a different word for the same animal.
Neo goat. It's a new goat.
It's a new goat. It's also called the cattle chamois. So I do love that.
Just cattle chamois.
Chamois. But we're gonna call it here
cattle chamois.
The chamois. I don't know who gave it that name. The ShamWow. That's what it should be. It'll you just take this massive animal and those wax stains come right out of your car. But we're gonna call it here the battle bison. The Takin Tuesday. That's a baby one. And new kid on the walk. GNU kid on the walk.
Okay. Would you like to know what science has to call it?
I would.
It's in the kingdom, love, and are in the kingdom Animalia. It's in the phylum Chordata. It's in the class Mammalia. And here's where it diverges from you. It's in the order Artiodactyla, which is ungulates of even-toed ungulates. The same as whales. Basically, if you're thinking of a whale, you're on the right track. It's in the family Bovidae, which is a family of cloven-hooved ruminant cud chewers.
That sounds like such a slur.
Interestingly, but I guess it makes sense. It's in the subfamily Caprinae.
Yes.
Which is goats, and it's in the tribe Caprinae, and the genus is Budorcas. Budorcas.
Yep.
And it's in the binomial name is Budorcas or Budorcas taxicolor.
Yeah, this one's
There
an
are so many
interesting
ways to inflect on this binomial name. But I'm going to say Budorcas taxicolor.
Yeah, this is the one of the least sophisticated sounding binomial nomenclatures, which I did not know what I didn't pick it because of this nomenclature. I mean, the only thing like that would sound that's less sophisticated is like Pink Floydy.
Yeah.
But this is pretty close.
It could be Budorcas taxicolor. Taxicolor.
Taxicalor. Mucho calor. That's a Sesame Street song. Which brings me to my favorite part of the show, nitty-gritty nomenclature. The part of the show where I ask you, Joe, a question, and that question is, what is the translation? What's the English translation of the nomenclature? So the genus and species, we have Budorcas taxicolor. What does that mean? What does that mean? Does it mean A, yak-like multicolored climber? B, badger-colored cow gazelle? C, long-haired brown-colored climbing goat? Or D, badger-like mobile bear goat? I had to get pretty creative with these to hide the real answer. So yak-like multicolored climber, badger-colored cow gazelle, long-haired brown-colored climbing goat, and badger-like mobile bear goat.
Mobile. It's way more convenient than the desktop bear goat. I'm going to go with the first badger one you said. B, I think.
Badger-colored cow gazelle?
Sure.
Yeah, it sounds like a one of those sap rock bands. It's like oh, do you listen to Red Jumpsuit Apparatus? Well, I listen to Badger-colored cow gazelle. You are correct. That is the answer. Badger-colored cow gazelle. I actually had to put two badger things in there. The etymology is a whole section right at the very beginning of the Wikipedia page, so I was like, oh, maybe he saw it. So
I missed it. Oh, yeah, it's right here. I just glossed over it.
Yeah,
I did what I was supposed to do.
In Latin, taxus means badger, and color means color. So taxicolor means badger color. And Budorcas is cow gazelle, or cow-like gazelle. It is not a badger, it's not a cow, and it's not a gazelle. So these are all wrong.
What are we talking about? Would you like me to describe it?
I would.
Well, the Takin has a robust physique that is similar to a musk ox in size and shape. Incidentally, a musk ox is also in the goat subfamily, not the cow subfamily, just like the Takin. If you look at a musk ox, you're going to think that's cow-like, right? But it's not. It's goat-like, they said, the taxonomists decided. Which is just interesting. I spend way too long looking at, like, there's just a divergence in the bovids, which is like gazelles, cows, and goats. And I looked up what is the difference between a goat-like thing, and a cow-like thing. And the answer is the only difference is what things are in bovine or caprine. The only difference is what is in those buckets. That's how you tell them apart. There's no real rhyme or reason.
There's no characteristic that's like, okay,
the only characteristic that I could find is that goats are generally smaller and less robust, but a musk ox is quite large. So, and this guy's quite large.
So is the Takin, yeah.
So it just goes to show you that when you're putting things in categories, it gets a little
hairy.
Hairy, yeah.
So like a muskox.
Or a Takin. Takin have short legs supported by large two-toed hooves, featuring highly developed spurs, which helps them walk around on rocks and cliffs and stuff. They're characterized by a deep chest, stocky body, and a notably large head with a long arched nose. Both males and females sport horns about 30 centimeters long, or 12 inches. They're capable of growing up to around 25 inches, or 64 centimeters. That's definitely not going to be in measure up. The long, shaggy coat varies in color, often turning black on the undersides and legs. But there's also like the blondish color. Mm-hmm. 4 recognized subspecies showcase differences in their coat color, ranging from dark blackish to reddish brown in the eastern Himalayas to lighter yellow-gray in the Sichuan province.
I've been there.
Well, with that being said, let's get into the size. We said it was big. Welcome to the Beloved Measure Up segment, the official listener's favorite part of the show, the part of the show when we present the animal size and dimensions in relatable terms through a quiz that's fun for the whole family. It's also part of the show that's introduced by you when you send an audio of yourself saying, singing, or chittering the words measure up into ldtaxonomy@gmail.com. Your clarification last time of how to do that worked.
Oh, did it?
Because
the way you just said it sounded exactly like someone explaining to me how to buckle my seatbelt on an airplane. And you're going to want to have to do this, and then if you have to buckle your seatbelt, we're going to be flying at an altitude of 35,000 feet, and we're going to reach our destination in 2 hours and 12 minutes, and if you have any questions, you can... that long breath.
We do have a new Measure Up intro this week.
Nice.
From our pal and patron, Gray Hughes.
Yeah.
He says, hey, it's your most junior patron, Gray Hughes. A little birdie, or in parentheses, a Moltres adder, actually?
A Moltres?
Moltres adder. Oh, it must be a binomial name. Oh, I'm a dork. I didn't even see that. I thought it was a Pokemon.
Moltres is a Pokemon.
Molothrus adder. I'm typing that in and nothing is coming up.
Type in Moltres and enjoy pictures of a flaming phoenix bird.
Molothrus adder with a TH is a brown-headed cowbird, which we might have done. Did we do the cowbird?
No, we did a butcher bird, which I think is closely related. I think we did the butcher bird.
What was the bird? One of the birds that does nest parasitism or whatever.
Oh, like the cuckoo?
Yeah, we might have done the cuckoo. The cowbird is also a nest parasite.
Oh, I'm pretty sure the cowbird was related to the butcher bird, and we talked about how it like impales its like bugs on cactuses and stuff.
He says, a little birdie told me that you all needed voice recordings for Measure Up. Well, here you go. P.S. I'm practicing writing podcast intros, podcast intro raps. So I wrote one for your show. Let me know if you want to see it. Absolutely.
Yes.
We do.
Oh, you got me really excited that this was going to be the podcast intro
No.
rap, but I would love very much like to see this or to listen to this.
We would absolutely like to see that. Does he mean I'm practicing writing podcast intro raps? Okay, so it's just an introduction rap to the podcast. I was thinking like it was a rap with our introduction song. But either way.
I'm definitely picturing like a Fresh Prince Sugar Hill kind of like introduction to this.
Skilo?
Yeah, which excites me quite a bit. I'm not a big rap fan, but there is a huge charm to that I would love to hear.
We are definitely down for that. But without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show.
Measure up.
Straight down the middle. A solid and a little sultry. A smooth.
Yeah, it was a little on the rocks.
A little on the rocks.
Like,
I was thinking it was smooth.
oh, you're thinking
a high-end neat whiskey. That's what it sounded like.
I'm just thinking like one big solid ice cube.
Oh, like a cocktail ice cube, a big chunk.
No, you get like some scotch has just like this one giant ice cube in it.
I know it.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, big square.
Yeah,
Or sometimes a circle.
Big square. I just, it's when you want to drink scotch, but you also don't want to feel your upper lip.
Yeah. And you want it to be mostly water pretty soon.
Yeah, you want to have to chug it. You want to feel rushed to drink scotch. Okay,
But,
maybe it's a bad analogy. It was very smooth.
It was very smooth, and that only makes me more apt to highly anticipate the introduction rap. That would be great.
Yeah, I'm already like seeing the musicality in it, like da 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 measure up, like how he just said it. I can't get Sugar Hill out of my head for this.
Gray Hughes is a guy that lives today, so it's probably not a 20-year-old style.
Because 20 years, everyone's dead. That was life.
Yeah.
He does live today, which means he has not experienced 20 years ago. So, unfortunate.
But Gray Hughes, you are our most junior, but not our least important patron. Putting the team on his back this week.
You get your like airman wings.
Yeah. Let's talk height at the withers. Withers is the shoulder.
I love the withers.
Fixed spine animal, but sometimes anything that walks on four legs, they'll say it has withers. Actually, do goats have fixed spines? They look like they do. They're 97 to 140 centimeters, or 38 to 55 inches. So how many Nigerian dwarf goats go into the height of the Takin?
Nigerian dwarf goats.
Here's it. Nigerian dwarf goats are among the smallest goat breeds. I looked up what is the smallest, and it said this. And then I looked up the pygmy goat, and it was smaller. So it's among the smallest. They're pretty close. Both originate from West Africa.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like you need the horn of a Nigerian pygmy goat to craft the ultimate boss weapon. But and there's only like one of them, and it's one of those things where you think you're going to fight a small goat, but it turns out to be like Nigerian pygmy goat, the world eater.
It's Nigerian dwarf goat you're looking for.
Dwarf, yeah. Nigerian dwarf goat.
It's like a dwarf star. It's actually quite large compared to other goats.
Yeah, a foot. So my answer is 4.5.
Final?
Yes.
The correct answer is 2.3 goats.
Oh.
The max height of a Nigerian dwarf goat is 60 centimeters.
What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything to me. What's a
It
centimeter?
means 2.3
feet.
Times, let's see, let's look it up. I don't care, but it's small. But it's not that small. I feel like there's horses that are that, like miniature horses that are that small.
60 centimeters?
23 inches.
I mean, that's... I don't think there are horses that are 2 feet tall at the withers. That's way too small.
Smallest horse. But then again, if you look up the smallest horse, you're going to get an individual. Yeah, Pamuckle we've talked about before.
Pamuckle?
It's 20 inches tall at the withers. Yeah, Pamuckle.
I don't know why that's not ringing any bells.
We've talked about Pamuckle. There's also Thumbelina. She's 17 inches tall at the withers.
Those are some small
These miniature ponies are adorable. And they've probably got so many genetic problems.
Yeah, I'm sure neither of them can breathe at all without like a whole machine allowing them to do it.
Stop looking at it. I'm getting lost in its eyes. Its soulful, knowing eyes.
And all who look upon it fall under its spell and are never seen again.
All love it in despair. Let's talk about their weight. They're between 300 and 350 kilograms, or 660 to 770 pounds. How many Fiesta-sized bags of Blue Heat Takis go into the weight of a Takin?
What's a Taki?
Great question. Here's a hint. Takis are a rolled tortilla chip that comes in bright colors with an almost radioactive glow. They are known for bold flavors and a powerful kick of heat. The Blue Heat flavor is intended to taste like a hot chili pepper, but the baleful Pacific blue Crayola color is reminiscent of something that can only be achieved by the dread chemical manipulation of microplastics.
Is that the hint?
Look, it's a snack, yeah. Look up Blue Heat Taki. And tell me if you want your child to consume it.
I've never seen this snack before in my life.
It's quite a popular snack for those who favor a bold heat.
Like, I've never even seen it at a gas station. Or maybe it's one of those things that's just always been there, but I've not observant enough.
It tastes like gas station.
This tastes like a hot gas station. Yeah, this doesn't look good for you at all. But also, I mean, it could just be food coloring, so... I mean, you could take any chip and just dunk it in food coloring, and it will be just as good for you as it was before. It does have a glow to it, though.
It
does have that glow. So the bag, family-sized bag, you said?
The Fiesta size, excuse me.
Fiesta size. I mean, what's a family if not a Fiesta, right?
A forever Fiesta?
Yeah.
Let's have people over forever.
I guess that is a family, right? It's like it was just me, and now I'm just going to have somebody here forever. I'm going to say 6 6 2,056 ounces. So my answer is 2,053. We'll just call it 2K. NBA 2K. Yes.
The correct answer is 615 bags. The Fiesta bag of these Blue Devils
These are
is
dense
a
chips.
pound and 4 ounces.
Either this
Or
Fiesta
567 grams.
This Fiesta bag is the size of a pillow, or these are some really dense chips.
They're kind of dense. If they have the crunch does not yield easily to your teeth.
Oh, have you had these?
I've had not the Blue Heat though. I've had the regular ones. The red ones, the ones that are like too red. I've had those.
These colors really concern you. It's the heat that concerns me.
It's the flavor. It tastes like hot chemicals. It doesn't taste good. It's
Just
hot, but it doesn't taste good along with the heat.
Just put Mountain Dew in a microwave for 10 seconds and enjoy those hot chemicals instead.
But that's it. 615 bags of Fiesta go into a Takin.
Interesting. I have a pound of chips is quite a bit. I should have gone with my gut.
I'm sure the packaging is included. It's hard to find the weight of products without the packaging.
Although, you don't want to go with your gut when it comes to eating Takis or whatever, so because your gut's going to be bright blue.
And there's going to be a hole bored into it. Would you like to hear some fast facts before we get into the major fact?
Yes.
Takin are found in the eastern Himalayas. They are the national animal of Bhutan. They live in small family groups of about 20 individuals. Females and younger males exhibit social behavior, but older males lead more solitary lives. They've had their kids. During the summer, herds of up to 300 takin gather on mountain slopes, especially near favorable feeding sites or salt licks or hot springs. Mating season happens between July and August, when adult males compete for dominance through head-to-head sparring.
That's pretty goat-like of them.
Yeah, and they are wont. They are wont to be like goats. Both males and females use their urine scent to indicate dominance. After an approximately 8-month gestation period, they usually give birth to one calf. Or no, you would say kid because they're caprinae.
Nope, they're called calves.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
They're too cow-like. Slide them over to
the cow bucket.
Bovids. Bovinae.
Bovid-19.
Yeah. Takin migrate to lower forested areas in the winter and prefer sunny spots during sunrise. When disturbed, they make an alarm that sounds like a cough. They are Bovid-19. And the herd retreats into bamboo thickets lying on the ground for camouflage. Their predators include leopards, the Asiatic bear, and sometimes gray wolves, tigers, dholes, and snow leopards. Takin feed in the early morning to late afternoon, consuming various leaves, grasses, bamboo shoots, and flowers. Man, if you live in this part of the world, it's great to have bamboo as part of your things you can eat because there's lots of it. They also look for salt sources whenever they can, and when they find a mineral deposit, they'll stick around for days. Eating rocks.
I guess grass. That's one of the nice things about that's like the plus about being
a ruminant?
An herbivore, and a ruminant in particular, is because like you eat grass. It's everywhere. Like,
Unless
but,
you're in Africa and it gets a little too hot for a little too long.
True. But then you're always looking over your shoulder for, a predator, and the predator's like, I absolutely there's only one place I can get food, and if I don't get it, I'm dying. So it's it's give and take, like life,
They have been observed standing on their hind legs to reach leaves over 3 meters high.
You just won't let up with these with these European ways of measuring things.
Yeah, you know what? Wikipedia often gives me European stuff, and I don't delight in. Well, it's a yard. It's 3 yards.
The meter is kind of like one of the easier ones to visualize. Centimeters, like I don't have centimeters and grams. I don't have a conception for. Liters, I do, thanks to soda. But like
we need to have a conception for centimeters because they're good compared to inches.
I'll concede that, but I just don't. I need it to.
Although
be inches.
Europeans measure their own human height in centimeters, which is laughable and disgusting.
One thing I will give the imperial system is it has a foot. It has something between inch and yard.
Yeah.
Which if it's that makes things a little bit goofy in the metric system. They really do need they have a decameter, or not a decimeter, which I think needs to come back. I think we need to make that more of I'm 6 decimeters tall. It means you're 60 centimeters. No, that's not true. Yes, that is true.
I mean, we use both, technically. If you are a carpenter, you are using centimeters. Or if you're trying to, use a measuring tape for small things, if you're only using the inches on a measuring tape, you're not going to get stuff right.
Well, no, I mean, I'm like, okay, it's just, it gets really confusing.
Fractions.
It's
you'd have to use fractions.
I need this to be 7/8 of an inch, please.
Yeah.
Which is, it's not ideal, but my eyes
measuring
just
stuff in cups instead of ounces.
They completely,
my
eyes gloss over the centimeters.
Why are all recipes in cups and tablespoons and teaspoons, and all packaging is in ounces and grams?
I don't know.
But that's all I got. Do you have any big facts?
I do. This major fact is called the Takin of Peltham 123. It's so. This is kind of like I don't know if you're keeping this in, but what I said at the outset is this is one of those animals that I saw on a list of cool animals, and when I looked at it, I was like, "Wow, this is a really interesting looking animal. It's like a vanilla wildebeest that lives in the Himalayas, like
a vanildebeest.
Vanildebeest, a broomhildebeest. But then when it came time to find a very specific major fact, like, wow, this animal does this one thing that most other animals don't do. There's a few things, but it wasn't just one big major fact. So we're going to cover a couple major-ish facts. So the first is that they have a very prominent nose. Now, we've already covered the saiga antelope, which actually does this to the extreme and has a very interesting looking nose, and that's why we chose it. But the Takin also kind of does something similar with its nose, because it lives in a very cold environment. It lives in the Himalayas, classically cold. And so it needs to, sometimes the air is extremely, is so cold that it would be damaging to breathe it in and out. And in fact, cold air coming in and warm air coming out would cause the animal to lose a lot of its heat just by breathing. So, what similar to the Saiga antelope, what the Takin does is it uses its nose to warm up the air that it breathes in before it reaches its body or its lungs. Some biologists have looked at the Takin and thought it looked like a bee-stung moose. It's funny because they're always comparing this to some other animal. Like, hey, look, it looks like a wildebeest. It's a moose. It's a cow. It's a gazelle. It's a goat. It's a muskox. It's its own thing. Okay. It also doesn't look like a moose at all. So I don't know where that's coming from. Of all of those animals, I'd say it looks like a moose, possibly the least. But whatever. I'm not a biologist. But so it has this complex network of sinus cavities with capillaries that are very close to the surface of the skin, so that when cold air enters in through the nose, it is warmed in this network of cavities before it reaches and goes into the lungs, so that there's warm air going in and warm air going out, meaning that the Takin does not lose a lot of heat whenever it's breathing. So it's got a big nose, but it's for a reason. They also have special oil glands that secrete this oil. It's bitter tasting. Apparently it has a burning taste. I don't know.
Like a Taki?
Yeah, maybe it tastes like blue, like a Taki.
Blue gas station.
It tastes like a hot blue gas station. I don't know who decided to lick one of these things to figure out like exactly how burning of a taste. Like you pet one of these like, Himalayan wildebeest and you're like, "Ugh, it's oily," and then you just do a Jack Sparrow like slow lick of your hand. And now you have data. But the reason for this oil is that it covers their fur. It both keeps them warm and it's water off a Takin's back. It makes their fur hydrophobic, beads up and rolls off. Which, if you've ever been in a cold environment, staying not wet is super important. So, and especially in a mountain environment, it can tend to rain quite often. So, being waterproof is pretty nice. So they have an oily coat. It makes them waterproof. And the last thing I have is that they were possibly the inspiration for the myth of the golden fleece, which is the skin or the pelt of a golden ram creature. In the myth, it flies. It saved a Greek god that sacrificed it, took its pelt, and gave it to a king, which was stolen by Jason and the Argonauts, which is my favorite bluegrass band. And it is considered a symbol of authority and royalty, and Kratos, the god of war, uses it as a shield to block all incoming damage unless the attack is glowing red. But yeah, maybe they saw one of the blonde variants of the Takin and said like, "Hey, I bet you a Greek god skinned that and gave it to a king."
Mm-hmm.
Which is, that's how these myths start, right? And that
you gotta skin it,
especially if it's cool. If it's cool, you gotta skin it.
That's the book I was reading, John Henry Patterson. Basically, that That's cool. Let me kill it. Skin it. Keep
It's
its
the ghost in the darkness. The ghost and the darkness. I keep saying the ghost in the darkness.
What is that?
The ghost.
Shoot it.
Well, you can't observe something if it keeps running away from you or killing all your men. Kill it first.
19th century British nationalism or British naturalism.
Naturalism.
Is, look at that. Shoot it and keep it.
But you can only shoot it as long as you use like one of those blunderbuss, like trumpet-looking guns.
Yeah.
So you have like a 1 in 10 chance of actually hitting it, even if your aim is on point. And it just adds to the challenge. As if living in the 19th century wasn't enough of a challenge. All right, and that's all I've got. That's the Takin. The Takin. It has a big swollen nose to heat up air that it breathes. It has stinky oil that it covers its coat with, and the Greeks think it means or thought it meant it was a symbol of authority and possibly a shield against evil.
Good.
Do you got anything else?
That's all I got.
All right, that's the Takin. For you out there in Podcastia, get that good warm nose air. Cover your coat with waterproof stank and tame the Greek gods themselves like the Takin here in life, death, and taxonomy.
Hey Taxonomy Titans, I just want to remind you that we now have a Patreon. Patrons can see full video episodes and get shoutouts on the show. But ultimately, it's a way for you to help us cover some costs and get even better. Still, reviews are the best way to help us grow. So if you haven't left one yet, we'd really love to hear from you. As always, thanks for listening and engaging.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.
Talking. That's what we've been doing.